Hello guys, your boy RFOB. Well, not anymore. RPG Fans Only Show is my real name now. And so yeah, this is Bubble Bobble. This is going to be a game pack of basically funnest games I played as a child. But the title of this gameplay is basically, well, this game pack, shall I say, is going to be basically pick up and play um, PlayStation 1 games, plug and play PlayStation 1 games, basically. So this is Bubble Bobble featuring Rainbow Island. This is kind of the arcade version of it, very old school, but it has very updated graphics, and it's two games in one. We're gonna play Bubble Bobble first, and then we'll be playing Rainbow Islands as the last game on this game pack, which should make it 5 games in total. Though I'm not gonna tell you every game ahead of time. This will just be the only game that I actually comment on, and the rest of the games will just be pure gameplay. So yeah, let's really, as you can see, yeah, there's three of them. This one is the most updated of Rainbow Islands. This one is they're basically the same game. Just this one has no 3D graphics. It just looks a little bit more polished. And this Bubble Bobble is not the same as the NES version most people are used to. So getting used to this game is going to be hard as well. I never really played Bubble Bobble. It wasn't really my go-to game, but this is definitely a pick up and plug and play game if you can call it that. Mainly because it was a two-player game, and if you had friends, you just pop your PlayStation 1 right in their TV and get the game going. And so this game is basically where you catch all these little, kind of like Don Dokadon, if you've ever played that game. It's basically very similar to that, in the same way that you basically just kill monsters, and to move on, you pop them. Oh, damn it. You pop the monsters after you capture them in a bubble by jumping on top of them, which is kind of easier said than done, for the most part. Oh, damn. And if you wait too long, there is a little mechanic in this game where the enemies will start to actually speed up and do some pretty crazy ass shit. Um, yeah, very fun game overall. You will spend a lot of hours in this game, I can tell you that much, especially with friends. I don't know if there's a competitive version, but if there is, you definitely want to pick it up. I can I can say that much. So yeah, this is the first game on the list. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, and we'll be moving on to the second game of this list, Motocross Mania. So yeah, on to the next one, fans. Game of this pack, like I said, is basically Motocross Mania 2, and basically this game is on this list because it is a very well polished PlayStation 1 racing game, one of the best actually racing games. And this game is two-player, of course. It is a racing game, and this is one of the games that's hella fun to play with friends. And indeed, I've had, I'd say, pretty good experiences playing other people, especially while drinking with a couple of friends on a night out. This game definitely is kind of fun. Very well polished. This is probably one of the best racing games, like I said, on the PlayStation 1. I can't rival it with many other games. And for its era, it's sold a lot of copies. So there's three different series in the game. There's Motocross Mania 1 to 3, and they're all basically look the same, but they're all fluid. There's really no slowing down. The only thing I have to say that's bad about this game is that the AI is kind of overpowered in the fact that uh, when you knock them over, or once they get knocked over or whatever, they just kind of respawn and they just kind of overlap. It's one of those games where if you're not on top, you won't win. So you really have to know the tracks of this game very well in order to basically win. So a lot of replayability in this game, though it's really just level grinding, literally stage grinding, and it can be quite repetitive and pretty baffling to take in how good this game runs, how fluid it is, how openly it is, um, how well the 3D sprites are kind of polished. They don't look too polygonal. They actually look like they have some type of good detail to them. And yeah, that's the second game on this list. Now we're going to be moving on to the third game, which is basically going to be Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, which is probably one of the worst Power Ranger games ever. But we're gonna play it anyways because it is a good plug and play game. So I'll see you guys then. Hope you guys enjoyed. Okay, so third game on this game pack, Sabin's Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. This is a good pick up and plug and play two-player game. Most of these, if you know this, there's a theme. They basically have two-player games. Majority of them are two-player games. PlayStation 1 did have a big library of two-player games. So yeah, this the reason why I put this awfully. This is probably one of the worst Power Ranger games I've experienced besides the actual plug and play Power Rangers game. Is simply because it's just awful. It's nothing like the actual anime, I mean, cartoon that was actually played, the real animation of this game. Um, and even the characters look kind of gimpy and don't even look like the actual Power Rangers. They look all fucked up. And yeah, this was one of the games I didn't have too much of a good time with, though I played it with friends and they just had a blast. It's one hell of a funny game to just crack jokes on how bad it is. These people look nothing like the actual original, like I said, animation. Everything is awful. One thing is the controls are they're just bad. It's like the concept works, but you in a game you just don't implement them. Like they can work, but no. In other words, no. They're not good controls. They're very awkward, and it's probably the most boring and generic game ever. But it is, like I said, a very fun game to play with friends because it's pretty funny to just make fun of the game overall for being as bad as it is. And I definitely had somewhat of a good time with it, even though, like I said, it's pretty awful. Combat is very generic and not even worth mentioning. It's reminiscent of Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1, though I obviously think Spider-Man did a way better job than this piece of shit. So, but I don't want to bag on the game. I do think this is a good plug and play game to definitely take with you if you have a PlayStation 1. It's a good game to just play, pick up, play with some friends, and just have a blast on just how bad the game actually is. And it's really janky with two-player mode, but it's still fun. And I had a blast with the game. And I will definitely play it with friends again. Um, maybe. I probably won't. Didn't really have the best experience with the game, but it was quite interesting indeed. Might play it again someday. But yeah, that's all for this game, and it's third on this list. On to the fourth game, which is boxing. Apparently, PlayStation 1 had generic title names just like Nintendo for the NES with tennis and Mario and snowboarding and all those games. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys when we get on the fourth game of this game pack. Interesting, but I know it reminds me of the Sega Master System version of this game, which basically was a different game. This game had demos and is pretty similar to Me Fighter or Me Boxing game, and it's made by the developers, the D3 publishers. But the developers were of A1 Games, and they had a lot of PlayStation 1 titles. They had basically were pretty good developers. They got their own uh, screenplay on a lot of games. So let's actually, hop into the game. I did lie. I did say I wasn't going to comment on any of videos, but I actually ended up commentating on all of them. So it's more like a game pack list review rather than an actual um, gameplay, whatever. But yeah, the reason why this is a good plug and play game is because it is two player, as that is the theme of this, whatever the fuck you want to call this. Two player plug and play games is what I'm going to call it. And this definitely was one of the games I had fun with, though it was very hard to understand the concept behind this game. It was very non-responsive for me, slow with me. Even on my emulator, I am actually using an emulator for this. It still doesn't run very well. And when I had the actual copy of this game in college, it didn't run very well either. Maybe the copy I had was scratched up or something. But the game never ran well for me, and so there's not really much I can say about this game other than it is a fun game to play with friends. I did have a lot of fun with it. It is very fun, but it never really worked for me. But it doesn't mean that I never said that there was going to be completely good two-player games on this game pack. This is definitely not one of them, but it's still a game that I can consider to be very fun. And so I'm just gonna cut this one short and head on to the last game, which is part of the Bubble Bobble game pack, which is Rainbow Islands, a game that I actually didn't play too much with friends, but basically by myself, I would grind on that game like shit. Never beat it, got far in it, but never liked the game enough to beat it. So onto that game, and I will see you guys with the last game on the game pack in a bit.